Hey everyone, it's Brittany here with the latest installment of Stories of the Bible. I do apologize for the very large gap between the first set and these newer videos. Um, I am really excited to get back into the swing of sharing these stories with you, and I thank you for your patience and for coming back to watch more. So far, we have talked about creation, Adam and Eve, and the fall of man. We've talked about Cain and Abel, and we've talked about Noah and the ark and his family. Today, it's a much shorter story, and it is kind of the in between from those stories, which set the story and told us who God was and is, and how He created the earth and people. And this transitions us into the next part of the story, which is telling us who God's people are. Not just the people He created at the beginning of time, but those who dedicated their lives to God and chose to follow Him even when it didn't make any sense at all. And so, this story here today, the Tower of Babel, the City of Babel, whatever you want to call it, it goes by several different names, but this story kind of transitions us into the next part. And so, yeah, that's our story for today. As always, I encourage you, please read these stories on your own. The Bible is called the Living Word, and the reason it's called that is because God is always speaking to us through His Word. He is going to tell you different things than what I am getting from this word as I read it today. I always read, when I read sections out loud, which I'm not actually going to do today, but when I do read out loud, I'm going to read from the NLT, the New Living Translation. It is my favorite version. I find a lot of understanding with it. So if you want to read the same version as me, go right ahead. If you found something that you prefer, that's quite alright too. I just wanted to give you a heads up on what I'm basing my paraphrased stories off of, as well as what I actually read out loud when I read out loud. Today's story comes from Genesis 11, verses 1 through 9. Now, as we talked about last time, Noah and his family were sent out after the flood to populate the earth. Now, as you can imagine, all coming from one family, they all spoke one language. They were all set in one place. And that's where this story comes into place. There were a lot of people by this point in the story. By the time they moved to the plain of Babylonia and created this city, built this city, there were a lot of people. And even though their technology was completely different from our technology today, they were swiftly moving and growing. They were coming up with new advancements with the tools that they had. In that case, it was building. And so they all came together and said, let's build this gigantic city. And in this city, we're going to build a tower that reaches the skies. Now, God chose to separate them all out. He said, look at my people. If they can do this much this quickly with so little, they're going to move way too fast. And so he had them separated and changed languages. There were a lot of different people groups then at that point. He created nations that were outside. They all spoke different languages. It caused utter confusion, and as you can imagine, the building of the tower ended up going completely away. Now, I don't think God did this as a punishment. Moreover, I think He did it because we as humans have this tendency to move too quickly, we have this tendency to do our own thing outside of His will. And what God did was separate them out and change things so they could only rely on Him. And I think that teaches us something really valuable. I think that just like they did, we get so caught up in our advancements that we forget who God is. And if you look at the world around us right now, there are so many people who don't even want to acknowledge that there is a God. And I think we are kind of in that same boat. Even though we are many nations and many languages, there are far less barriers now between us all. And I think that in today's culture, we need to turn our focus to God rather than to the world. So rather than building this tower that can reach the skies, turn your eyes to God. And He is going to lead you how He wants you. He's going to carry each of us to Him, I guess. So, yeah, those are my words of wisdom for today. Share your own thoughts in the comments and let me know what you think. I'll see you next time. Hey everyone, it is Brittany here, and I just wanted to say make sure you subscribe here on YouTube so you can see all of my new videos and watch all the old ones. I hope that these stories are helping you learn, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks!